Captain Hyun-woo watched Earth burn through the bridge windows of the Harmony's voice. The blue planet that had been humanity's home for millions of years was now covered in orange flames and black smoke. The Veltar ships hung in space like metal vultures, firing their planet-killer weapons down at the surface. "Sir, we have the last evacuation ships ready to jump," said Lieutenant Kim Soo from his station. His voice shook as he spoke. Even the military crew could not hide their fear and sadness. Hyun-woo nodded, but did not look away from Earth. "How many ships made it out?" 47 vessels, sir. About 200,000 people total." Kim Soo paused. "The Veltar destroyed 63 other ships during evacuation. 200,000 out of 8 billion people." Hyun-woo closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, Earth looked even smaller and more broken. The Veltar had come 6 months ago with their demands. They called humanity a waste of resources and said humans took up too much space in the galaxy. They wanted Earth's people to leave their planet and spread out to work as laborers on alien worlds. When Earth's government said no and asked for peaceful talks, the Veltar laughed. Peace, they had said through their machines that turned thoughts into words. Weak species always talk about peace when they have no power. Earth's leaders had kept trying to talk. They sent messages to other alien races asking for help. They offered to share human technology and knowledge. They promised to limit human population growth and use fewer resources. Right up until the moment the Veltar fleet appeared in Earth's sky, humanity's government believed they could solve this with words. Now Earth was dying, and Hyun-woo had to record humanity's final message to the galaxy. "Start recording," he told Kim Soo. The young officer nodded and pressed buttons on his control panel. A small light turned red, showing that every word would be sent to communication stations across known space. Hyun-woo straightened his uniform and looked into the camera. Behind him, Earth continued to burn. "To all intelligent species in the galaxy," he began. "This is Captain Hyun-woo of the Earth vessel Harmony's voice. I speak for humanity in our final hour." He paused, watching another section of his home planet disappear under fire. "The Veltar Consortium has decided that humans are not worthy to keep our world. As I speak, Earth is being destroyed. Billions of people are dying. Our cities, our history, our art and music and stories, all of it is turning to ash." On the science deck below, Dr. Bo-ram watched the same view through a smaller window. She was Hyun-woo's sister and one of Earth's best experts on alien life. She had spent years studying other species, trying to understand them and find ways for humans to live alongside them in peace. Now she watched those same species destroy everything she had ever known. "We could have fought," Hyun-woo continued his message. "Humanity has weapons that could have hurt the Veltar. We have ships that could have run and hidden and struck back. But we chose a different path. We chose to try understanding instead of violence. We chose to offer friendship instead of fear." Bo-ram touched the glass of her window. Her reflection looked back at her, a woman in her 30s with kind eyes and gentle hands. Those hands had never hurt anyone. She had used them to heal injured animals and to build machines that helped grow food and to teach children about the wonderful creatures that lived among the stars. "Perhaps we were wrong," Hyun-woo said to the galaxy. "Perhaps peace only works when everyone chooses it. But we do not regret our choice. We forgive the Veltar for what they do today. We forgive all species who stood by and watched it happen. We ask only one thing." Admiral Tae-min stood in the military section of the ship, his hands clenched into fists. He was older than Hyun-woo and Bo-ram, with gray hair and scars from battles fought protecting human colonies from pirates and raiders. He had begged Earth's government to prepare for war. He had warned them that not all species in the galaxy wanted peace. Nobody had listened. "If you find human survivors in the years to come," Hyun-woo continued, "please treat them with kindness. We are a young species. We make mistakes, but we learn and we love and we try to make tomorrow better than today. That is all we ever wanted. A chance to grow and learn alongside our neighbors among the stars." The Veltar fleet began moving toward the evacuation ships, their weapons charged with deadly light. "This is the last message from Earth," Hyun-woo said. "We chose peace once. We believed it was the right path. We still believe it was the right path. But if humanity survives what comes next, perhaps our children will choose differently. Perhaps they will choose what comes after peace, when peace is no longer possible. He nodded to Kim Soo, who stopped the recording and began transmitting it across the galaxy. All ships, prepare for jump, Hyunwoo ordered. Take us to Rally Point 7. The evacuation fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives and vanished into the darkness between stars. Behind them, Earth's last light faded into nothing. But the Veltar were not finished. They had listened to humanity's peaceful message and they laughed. Admiral Kexton of the Veltar fleet sent his own message to his commanders. The humans still speak of peace even as they die, he said. This proves they are weak. Hunt down their remaining ships. Kill every last one. We cannot allow this weakness to spread to other species. 3 Veltar hunter groups split off from the main fleet and began following the energy trails left by the human ships. They had orders to destroy every human vessel they could find. On the Harmony's voice, Boram sat in her laboratory surrounded by data about alien biology and technology. She looked at her research notes about Veltar physiology, their weapons, their culture. For years, she had studied this information to find ways for humans and Veltar to work together. Now she began studying it for very different reasons. Admiral Tae-min gathered his senior officers in the ship's meeting room. On the wall screen, Earth's final moments played again and again. The old soldier's face was calm, but his eyes burned with cold fire. "Gentlemen," he said to his officers, "we have 200,000 people to protect. The Veltar will come, for us. They will not stop until we are all dead." He paused and looked each man in the eye. Earth chose peace. Earth is gone. We who remain must choose something else. Lieutenant Jin Woo, the ship's communications officer, raised his hand. "Sir, what are your orders?" Taemin smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We survive. We learn. We adapt. And we make sure that what happened to Earth never happens to anyone else." As the human fleet jumped through space toward an uncertain future, Boram made her first notes about biological enhancement. Taemin began planning new types of warfare, and across the galaxy, other species received humanity's final peaceful message. Most ignored it. Some felt sad for a moment before forgetting about the extinct humans. But a few species, the wise ones, heard something else in Captain Hyunwoo's words. They heard a warning. Humanity had chosen peace once. Now they would choose what comes after. 6 months had passed since Earth died. The human survivors gathered at Research Station Omega, a hidden facility in an empty star system that few species knew about. The station had been built years ago as a place to study dangerous alien technology, far from populated worlds. Now it was humanity's last safe harbor. Dr. Boram walked through the station's medical bay, checking on the refugees who had made it this far. Children who would never see Earth's blue sky, adults who woke up crying from dreams of home, elderly people who had lost everything they had built in their long lives. 200,000 humans scattered across 47 ships with nowhere to go. "The food supplies will last 8 months if we're careful," reported Dr. Minho, the station's chief engineer. He was a thin man with quick hands and tired eyes. "Water recycling is at 96% efficiency, but we're low on medical, supplies and replacement parts for the ships." Admiral Taemin nodded grimly. They were meeting in the station's main conference room, a dozen key leaders trying to plan humanity's future. Outside the windows, the empty darkness of space stretched forever. "What about the Veltar?" asked Captain Soo-jin, who commanded one of the military escort ships. "Any sign they're still hunting us?" Lieutenant Jin Woo looked up from his communications console. 3 human ships were destroyed last week in the Kepler sector. Another 2 went missing near the trade routes. The Veltar are definitely still best looking for survivors. Boram set down her medical reports and studied the faces around the table. These people were all that remained of Earth's government and military. They were good people, smart people. But they were thinking like the old humanity that had believed in peace and diplomacy. That humanity was extinct. "We can't keep running forever," Boram said quietly. "Every month we stay hidden, we get weaker. The Veltar get stronger. Eventually they'll find this place and then we'll all die." "What do you suggest?" asked Taemin. "We have 47 ships against their entire empire. We can't fight them directly." Bo-Ram stood up and activated the wall screen. Images appeared showing Veltar biology, their technology, their weapon systems. She had been studying this data for months, but not for peaceful purposes anymore. "We can't fight them as we are," she said, "but we don't have to stay as we are." The room fell silent. On the screen, detailed scans showed how Veltar bodies worked, how they had adapted to different environments, how they had enhanced themselves with technology over thousands of years. "You're talking about changing ourselves," said Captain Hyunwoo. Bo-Ram's brother had been quiet since Earth's destruction, spending most of his time staring out at the stars. "Making us into something else. The Veltar destroyed Earth because they saw us as weak," Bo-Ram explained. "They were right. Compared to them, we are weak. Our bodies break easily. We need special suits to survive in space. We think too slowly in combat situations. But we have something they don't have." "What's that?" asked Minho. "We adapt. Every challenge that almost killed humanity made us stronger. Ice ages, plagues, wars, natural disasters. We survived them, all by changing ourselves. This is just the next step." Bo-Ram changed the display to show her research notes. For months, she had been working on ways to combine human biology with salvaged alien technology. The process was dangerous and largely untested, but the theoretical results were impressive. Enhanced reflexes, stronger bones, ability to survive in vacuum for short periods, she listed. Direct neural interface with computer systems, improved healing, extended lifespan, resistance to radiation and toxins, and most importantly, the ability to keep improving ourselves as we learn more. Admiral Taemin leaned forward. "What's the survival rate?" Bo-Ram hesitated. "In current simulations, about 70%. The room erupted in angry voices. 3 out of 10 people would die just from the enhancement process. It seemed like madness. "That's murder," said Dr. Park, one of the medical staff. "We'd be killing our own people." "The Veltar are already killing our people," Taemin replied coldly. "At least this way, some of us might live." Captain Sujin raised her hand for quiet. "Even if this works, even if we become these enhanced humans, then what? We're still massively outnumbered." Minho spoke up from his corner. "I've been studying their technology too. The Veltar have a weakness." He activated his own display, showing detailed scans of Veltar weapons and ships. Their systems are designed to fight other Veltar, or species similar to them. They're not adapted for fighting something completely different. The engineer highlighted several technical flaws in Veltar equipment. Their sensors track by body, heat, and electromagnetic signatures. Their weapons are calibrated for standard biological targets. Their armor is designed to stop certain types of damage, but if we changed enough, we could become something they're not prepared to fight, finished Hyunwoo. Understanding was growing in his eyes. Something that doesn't show up on their sensors the right way. Something that can survive weapons meant to kill normal humans. Bo-Ram nodded. "The question is whether we're willing to pay the price. If we do this, we won't be the same species that lived on Earth. Our children will be something new." A young woman named Hye-jin stood up from the back of the room. She had been a school teacher on Earth, helping children learn about art and literature. Now she spoke for many of the civilian survivors. "What choice do we have?" she asked. "Stay human and die, or become something else and maybe live." She looked around the room. "I've seen what the Veltar do to prisoners. I've heard the reports from the colonies they raided. If we're going to change, at least let's change into something that can fight back." The debate continued for hours. Some argued for finding a peaceful solution, for trying to negotiate with other alien species for protection. Others wanted to focus on hiding better, finding a secret planet where humans could rebuild slowly. But as the discussion went on, more and more voices joined Hye-jin's side. The reports from Veltar space were clear. They would not stop hunting humans until every last one was dead. Peace was no longer an option. Finally, Admiral Taemin called for a vote. It was not close. 38 people voted to begin the enhancement program. Only 6 voted against it. "Then it's decided," Taemin said. "Dr. Bo-Ram, how long do you need to prepare?" 2 weeks for the first test subjects. If they survive and the enhancements work as expected, we can begin full-scale treatments. Within a month, Captain Hyunwoo stood up. I volunteer to be the first test subject. Brother, no, Bo-Ram said quickly. The risks. I recorded humanity's last peaceful message, Hyunwoo interrupted. Let me be the first to record what comes next. Over the following days, word spread through the refugee fleet. People argued, cried, and prayed. Some families were torn apart by the decision. Others came together, determined to face the future as one. Hee-jin was among the first volunteers. So was Min-ho, and dozens of others. They knew they might die in the process, but they also knew that staying unchanged meant certain death anyway. Dr. Bo-Ram worked frantically to improve the enhancement procedures. Every day she delayed meant a better chance of survival for the volunteers, but also more time for the Veltar to find their hiding place. On the day before the first treatments were scheduled to begin, Captain Hyunwoo found his sister in her laboratory. She was staring at the enhancement chamber, a complex machine filled with alien technology and human medical equipment. Are you sure about this? She asked him. Hyunwoo nodded. Earth chose peace because we believed in the goodness of other species. We were wrong about that. But maybe we can still choose to be something good ourselves. Just something good that's strong enough to survive. The next morning, Hyunwoo entered the enhancement chamber. Bo-Ram sealed the door and activated the systems. For 6 hours, alien machines rewrote his biology, while human computers guided the process. When the chamber opened, something new stepped out. It looked like Hyunwoo, but moved differently. Its eyes reflected light like a cat's. When it spoke, its voice was deeper and clearer than before. How do you feel? Bo-Ram asked. The enhanced human that had once been her brother smiled. Different, stronger, ready. Within a month, nearly half the human survivors had undergone enhancement. Not all of them survived the process, but those who did emerged as something the galaxy had never seen before. They still called themselves human. But they were becoming something else. Something that the old Earth would not have recognized, but something that could do what the old Earth could not. They could fight back. 2 years after Earth's death, the enhanced humans were ready for their first strike. Research Station Omega had become a hidden military base where the survivors planned their revenge. Enhanced humans moved through the corridors like shadows, their improved bodies making no sound on the metal floors. Captain Hyunwoo barely looked human anymore. The enhancement process had changed his bone structure, making him taller and stronger. His skin had a gray tint that helped him blend with shadows. His eyes could see in complete darkness, and his reflexes were 10 times faster than any normal human. But he still remembered Earth. He still remembered the peaceful message he had sent to the galaxy as his home planet burned. Target confirmed, reported Lieutenant Jin Woo from the communications station. Veltar mining colony on Zerion 7. 12,000 Veltar workers, minimal military presence, perfect for our first operation. Admiral Taemin studied the tactical display. The old soldier had refused enhancement, saying someone needed to remember what they used to be. His gray hair was now white, and his face showed the stress of 2 years spent planning humanity's return. Intelligence report? He asked. Dr. Bo-Ram activated the main screen. She had enhanced herself, but more carefully than the others. Her changes were internal. Improved brain processing, enhanced memory, direct neural connection to computer systems. She looked almost normal, except for the thin silver lines under her skin where the enhancement implants connected to her nervous system. Zerion 7 is a rare mineral mining operation, she explained. They extract quantum crystals used in Veltar faster than light drives. The colony is defended by automated weapons and a small garrison of 200 soldiers. Standard Veltar defensive patterns. Hyunwoo stepped forward. His team of enhanced humans stood behind him, 12 volunteers who had survived the most advanced enhancement procedures. They wore new armor made from salvaged Veltar technology and human engineering. The suits could survive in vacuum and were nearly invisible to Veltar sensors. What's the real objective? Asked Hye-jin. The former teacher had become one of their most effective enhanced soldiers. Her new body could move like liquid, and her mind could process combat information faster than any computer. We're not just there to steal crystals. Boram nodded. We need live Veltar subjects for research. And we need their technology. But most importantly, we need to send a message to the galaxy. What message? Asked Minho. The engineer had enhanced his hands and eyes, giving him the ability to interface directly with any technology. He could hack Veltar systems just by touching them. Admiral Taemin answered, that humanity is not extinct, that we remember what they did to Earth, and that we've become something they should fear. The strike team spent 3 days traveling to Zarion 7 in a modified stealth ship. The vessel had been built using both human and salvaged alien technology, making it undetectable to standard sensors. Enhanced humans could survive in the cramped, low-oxygen environment that would have killed normal people. Zarion 7 was a brown, airless world circling a red star. The Veltar had built their mining complex in a deep canyon, with defensive towers on the surrounding cliffs. Massive excavation machines dug into the planet's crust, while transport ships carried loads of quantum crystals to waiting freighters. Looks peaceful, said Dong Su, one of the enhanced soldiers. His body had been modified for extreme combat, with armor-like skin and built-in weapons systems. They're not expecting trouble. Hyunwoo studied the colony through enhanced vision that could see across multiple light spectrums. Why would they? According to their records, all humans are dead. The team split into 3 groups. Hae-jin led 4 soldiers toward the main mining operation. Minho took 2 others to infiltrate the communications center. Hyunwoo led the remaining 5 toward the command complex where the colony's leaders worked. They moved across the airless surface like ghosts. Their enhanced bodies could survive in vacuum for hours, and their armor made them invisible to Veltar sensors. The automated defense towers scanned the area constantly, but detected nothing. Hae-jin reached the mining complex first. Hundreds of Veltar workers operated massive machines that tore into the planet's surface. The creatures looked like giant insects with 6 limbs and hard shell-like skin. They communicated through chemical signals that smelled like rotting flowers. In position, she whispered into her communicator. The enhanced vocal cords could produce sounds that traveled through radio frequencies without needing electronic devices. Begin operation, Hyunwoo responded. Hae-jin and her team descended into the mining pit like falling shadows. The Veltar workers never saw them coming. Enhanced humans moved too fast for normal eyes to follow, striking with precision that left targets unconscious but alive. Within minutes, the entire mining operation was under human control. Minho's team infiltrated the communication center by walking through the air vents. His enhanced body could compress and stretch in ways that would have been impossible for normal humans. When they reached the main communication room, he placed his modified hands on the control panels. Information flooded into his enhanced brain. Veltar communication codes, defensive plans, shipping schedules, and most importantly, the locations of other human survivor groups the Veltar were hunting. I'm in their network, he reported, downloading everything, and I found something interesting. They've been tracking 7 other human refugee groups. 2 have already been destroyed. Hyunwoo's team reached the command complex as alarms began sounding throughout the colony. The Veltar garrison was finally responding, but they were confused and disorganized. Their sensors showed no enemy contacts, but their mining operation had gone silent. Impossible, clicked the colony commander, a large Veltar with decorated shell patterns that showed his high rank. Sensors detect no hostile ships, no energy weapons discharge. How can the miners be unconscious? Hyunwoo answered. By appearing in the command center like a nightmare made real. His enhanced body had climbed up the outside of the building and entered through a window that should have been impossible to reach. The Veltar guards reached for their weapons, but enhanced human reflexes were faster than their thoughts. The battle was over in seconds. Veltar weapons that could have destroyed normal humans barely scratched enhanced armor. Human soldiers moved faster than Veltar eyes could track. When the fighting stopped, every Veltar in the command center was either unconscious or dead. Colony secured, Hyunwoo reported. All primary objectives achieved. Dr. Boram arrived 6 hours later with a larger ship and medical equipment. She needed live Veltar subjects to study their biology and learn how their technology worked. The enhanced humans had captured over 300 prisoners without killing them, a level of precision that impressed even Boram. "Excellent work," she said, as she examined the unconscious Veltar. "These specimens will help us understand their weaknesses much better." But the most important part of the operation came last. Jin Wu activated the colony's communication system and sent a message to every Veltar facility within 50 light-years. The message contained the coordinates of Zerion 7 and a simple statement. "We remember Earth. When Veltar reinforcements arrived 3 days later, they found their mining colony intact but empty. All the Veltar workers and soldiers had vanished. The quantum crystal stockpiles were gone. The communication logs showed impossible sensor, readings of attackers who moved like ghosts and struck like lightning. But worst of all, they found the message. The extinct humans had somehow returned, and they were no longer the peaceful species that had once begged for mercy. Admiral Kexton, the Veltar commander who had destroyed Earth, received the report while patrolling near Veltar homeworld. He stared at the communication for a long time, his chemical scent glands releasing the smell of fear. "Impossible," he clicked to his subordinates. "We killed them all. We watched their planet burn." "Perhaps some escaped," suggested his tactical officer. "Hidden colonies, scattered refugees." "Then we hunt them down again," Kexton decided. "Send 3 hunter groups to track these phantoms. I want every human found and eliminated." But as his ships jumped into faster-than-light travel, Kexton felt something he had never experienced before when thinking about humans. The creatures that had once spoken only of peace and forgiveness had somehow learned to strike from shadows and vanish like smoke. They had learned to be dangerous. On their stealth ship, the enhanced humans reviewed the data they had stolen from Zerion 7, locations of Veltar facilities, defense plans, shipping routes, and most importantly, evidence of other human survivors being hunted across the galaxy. 7 refugee groups, Hyunwoo said as he studied the tactical displays. 2 already destroyed, 5 still running. "We can save them," said Hyejin. "Warn them, help them escape." Admiral Taemin shook his head. "Or we can do something better. Use them as bait to draw out more Veltar hunter groups, learn more about our enemy's capabilities." The enhanced humans looked at each other. They were becoming something that could make such calculations, something that could choose tactical advantage over immediate mercy. They were becoming something that could win. "Plot a course for the next target," Hyunwoo ordered. "We have a war to fight." The news of Zerion 7's fall spread through Veltar space like poison. For the first time in their history, the mighty Veltar consortium faced an enemy they could not see coming. 3 more mining colonies had fallen in the past 6 months, each one captured without a single confirmed visual contact with the attackers. The humans had become ghosts. Admiral Kexton stood in the command center of his flagship, studying reports that made no sense. His 3 hunter groups had been searching for human survivors for over a year, but instead of finding scattered refugees, they kept discovering empty Veltar facilities and missing personnel. "How many lost this month?" he asked his intelligence. "Officer, 14 facilities attacked, over 2,000 personnel missing or dead," came the reply. "But sir, our sensors still show no human ships, no energy signatures, no communications intercepts. It's as if they appear from nowhere and vanish into space itself." Kexton's scent glands released the bitter smell of frustration. The humans were supposed to be extinct. They were supposed to be weak. But somehow they had learned to fight like something from Veltar nightmares. On the other side of the galaxy, Jae-sung walked through the halls of a Veltar trade station, invisible among the alien crowds. The enhanced human had spent 4 months infiltrating Veltar society, learning their language and customs, while his modified body slowly adapted to look more like them. His skin now had a gray-green tint that let him pass for a distant Veltar subspecies. Surgical modifications had changed his bone structure. Chemical implants let him produce the scent signals that Veltar used for communication. To casual observation, he looked like just another alien trader. But beneath the disguise, enhanced human intelligence gathered information that would have been impossible for normal spies to obtain. "The Consortium Council meets tomorrow," he reported through a quantum communicator hidden in his chest cavity. "They're arguing about the human problem. Some want to negotiate, others want total war." Dr. Boram received the transmission at the hidden human base they had established in an asteroid field. Her enhancement allowed her to process multiple information streams simultaneously while coordinating research on captured Veltar technology. "What are their faction divisions?" she asked. "Three main groups," Jae-sung replied. "The warrior faction wants to commit their entire military to hunting us down. The commerce faction thinks the attacks are hurting trade and wants to offer us a planet in exchange for peace. The science faction believes we've developed some new technology they want to study. And the truth? None of them understand what we've become. They still think we're the same species they destroyed on Earth. They're trying to fight an enemy that no longer exists." This was the key to humanity's new strategy. The enhanced humans had not just changed their bodies. They had transformed their entire approach to warfare. Where Earth had relied on massive fleets and direct confrontation, the survivors used stealth, infiltration, and psychological warfare. Captain Soo-jin commanded the Earth's Memory, a stealth vessel that could travel deep into Veltar space without being detected. Her ship was a hybrid of human engineering and captured alien technology, optimized for missions that normal military vessels could never attempt. "Next target confirmed," she reported to Admiral Tae-min. "Veltar Research Facility. On Kepler Station, they're studying human biology from samples they collected during Earth's destruction." The irony was not lost on any of them. The Veltar were trying to understand their extinct enemies by studying the dead, while the living humans had already transformed into something beyond their comprehension. Soo-jin's team infiltrated Kepler, stationed during a shift change when thousands of workers moved through the facility's corridors. Enhanced humans could mimic Veltar movements perfectly, and their modified genetics let them pass biometric scanners without triggering alarms. The research facility held horrors that enraged even the emotionally controlled enhanced humans. Veltar. Scientists had been experimenting on human genetic material, trying to create biological weapons based on human DNA. Worse, they had live human prisoners, survivors from destroyed refugee ships who had been kept alive for study. 37 human captives, reported Dong-hyun as he surveyed the holding area. "Most have been modified by Veltar experiments. They may not be recoverable." Soo-jin made the decision that separated enhanced humans from their peaceful ancestors. Save who we can. The others end their suffering. No human should exist as a Veltar experiment. The rescue operation became a slaughter. Enhanced humans moved through the research facility like angels of death, killing every Veltar scientist they found while freeing the human prisoners. But they also did something more. They downloaded every piece of research data and destroyed the facility's ability to continue its work. When they left, Kepler Station was intact but crippled. The message was clear. Humans knew what the Veltar were doing to their people, and they would not allow it to continue. The rescued prisoners provided intelligence that changed everything. Under Veltar torture, some humans had revealed the locations of hidden refugee groups. The consortium had been systematically hunting down survivors for 2 years, using captured humans to betray their own species. 7 refugee groups confirmed destroyed, reported Dr. Boram as she analyzed the intelligence. 3 more are being tracked. The Veltar know about most of our surviving populations. Admiral Tae-min studied the tactical display showing Veltar hunter groups closing in on human survivors across the galaxy. The old soldier's face showed no emotion, but his hands clenched into fists. "Recommendations?" he asked. "We can try to warn the remaining groups," suggested Captain Hyun-woo. "Help them escape before the hunters arrive. Or we can use this information to set traps," said Hyejin. Her enhanced mind had become skilled at tactical analysis. "Let the Veltar think they're closing in on easy targets, then strike when they're vulnerable." It was Boram who voiced what everyone was thinking. "We don't have enough ships to save everyone. If we try to rescue all the survivors, we'll lose more people than we save, but if we use some groups as bait..." The enhanced humans were silent for a long moment. They were discussing the sacrifice of their own people for tactical advantage. It was a calculation that the old humanity would never have made. "How many could we definitely save?" asked Tae-min. "2 groups for certain, maybe 3 if we're lucky," Hyun-woo replied. "But we could eliminate at least 6 Veltar hunter groups if we set proper ambushes." The vote was closer than anyone had expected. 22 enhanced humans voted to sacrifice, some refugee groups for the greater strategic goal. 18 voted to attempt saving everyone despite the risks. Admiral Tae Min cast the deciding vote. We use the tactical option. Save who we can. Eliminate as many hunters as possible. That decision marked another step in humanity's transformation. They were becoming something that could make such choices, something that prioritized long-term survival over immediate compassion. The ambush campaign lasted 3 months. Enhanced human ships appeared at the edges of Veltar hunter operations, striking fast and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. They saved 2 refugee groups but sacrificed 3 others to eliminate 8 Veltar hunter fleets. But the most important result was psychological. The Veltar consortium began to fracture under the stress of fighting an invisible enemy. The warrior faction blamed the commerce faction for not providing enough resources. The science faction accused the warriors of using the wrong tactics. The commerce faction wanted to end the conflict that was disrupting trade throughout their territory. Their unity is breaking, reported Jae-sung from deep within Veltar space. Some factions are talking about making separate peace deals with us. Others want to use planet-killer weapons on any system where humans might be hiding. Dr. Bo Ram processed this information while continuing her research on captured Veltar biotechnology. Her experiments had produced new enhancements that made humans even more adaptable and dangerous. The latest generation of enhanced humans could survive in hard vacuum indefinitely and interface directly with most alien technology. Let them fight among themselves, she said. Every day they spend arguing is another day we grow stronger. Captain Su-jin had become the galaxy's most feared ghost, striking Veltar facilities across 12 star systems. Her crew of enhanced humans could infiltrate any target and vanish without a trace. Veltar commanders began abandoning isolated outposts rather than risk becoming her next victims. Status report, Admiral Tae Min requested during their monthly command meeting. 47 Veltar facilities destroyed or captured, Su-jin reported. Over 6,000 enemy personnel killed or missing. Civilian refugee populations reduced to approximately 50,000 survivors across known space. 50,000 humans left in the entire galaxy. The number would have been devastating to their ancestors, but the enhanced humans saw it differently. 50,000 was a sustainable population for their new species, and unlike their peaceful predecessors, these humans were equipped to fight for their survival. Intelligence indicates the Veltar are planning a major offensive, added Jae-sung through quantum communication. They want to end this war before we become an even greater threat. Admiral Tae Min nodded. The old soldier had seen this pattern. 5 years after Earth's death, humanity had evolved into something unrecognizable. Dr. Bo Ram stood in her laboratory aboard the mobile research station New Genesis, her body more machine than flesh. Silver cables ran under her pale skin, connecting enhanced organs to quantum computers that processed information faster than any biological brain could manage. She was no longer entirely human, and she was not the only one. Report on the new generation, she said to her assistant, a young enhanced human named Wu Jin who had been born after the fall of Earth. He had never seen blue skies or breathed natural air. His childhood had been spent in the cold metal corridors of human refugee ships, and his adolescence had been shaped by the enhancement process. 15 successful subjects this month, Wu Jin replied. His voice carried harmonics that could interface directly with ship systems, all showing expected improvements in vacuum survival, electromagnetic resistance, and neural processing speed. The oldest subjects are now capable of existing in hard space for over 48 hours. Bo Ram nodded, but part of her felt a deep sadness. These new humans could survive in environments that would instantly kill their ancestors, but they had never experienced the simple pleasure of feeling wind on their faces or the warmth of sunlight on their skin. They were perfectly adapted for a life among the stars, but they were no longer the species that had dreamed of exploring those stars in peace. Captain Hyun-woo materialized in the laboratory like a shadow becoming solid. His enhanced body could bend light around itself, making him effectively invisible, until he chose to be seen. The man who had once been Bo Ram's brother now looked like something from an alien nightmare. Tall, angular, with skin that shifted color to match his surroundings and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. The Veltar offensive begins tomorrow, he reported. 3 battle fleets over 600 ships. They're calling it Final Solution, complete extermination of all remaining humans. Boram processed this information through her enhanced neural networks. Her organic brain worked alongside quantum computers to analyze thousands of tactical possibilities in seconds. Interesting timing, she said. Our long-range sensors detected unusual gravitational distortions in the Theron Nebula yesterday. If the Veltar attack us there, they'll be fighting in an environment that favors our capabilities over theirs. Hyunwoo smiled, but it was not an expression that their childhood friends would have recognized. His enhanced facial structure could produce expressions designed to intimidate alien species rather than communicate human emotions. Admiral Taemin wants all enhanced units to report to battle stations, he said. This could be our chance to end the war. Across the human fleet, enhanced soldiers prepared for what might be their final battle. Hyejin led a squadron of fighters that were as much biological organisms as mechanical ships. The craft could repair themselves, adapt to different environments, and be controlled directly through neural interface with their enhanced pilots. She had been a teacher once, helping children learn about art and poetry. Now she was a living weapon piloting a ship that could survive in the vacuum of space, underwater, or in the crushing gravity of a gas giant. Her enhanced body could merge temporarily with the ship's systems, creating a hybrid creature that thought and moved faster than any purely mechanical vessel. All squadrons report ready, she transmitted to Admiral Taemin. Her vocal cords could produce sounds across multiple frequencies, allowing her to communicate with both human and alien technology simultaneously. Taemin stood on the bridge of the command ship Last Earth, one of the few humans who had refused enhancement. At 70 years old, he was ancient by the standards of their refugee fleet, but his unmodified human intuition still provided insights that enhanced minds sometimes missed. Remember, he told his officers, we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting to prove that what we've become has value. The galaxy needs to understand that humans are no longer victims. The Veltar fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Theron Nebula, a massive cloud of ionized gas and electromagnetic storms that interfered with most starship sensors. Admiral Kexton commanded the force personally, determined to finish what he had started with Earth's destruction. "Scan for human vessels," he ordered. "They're hiding somewhere in this nebula. Find them and destroy every last ship." But the Veltar admiral did not understand what he was hunting. The human ships were not hiding in the nebula. They were part of it. Enhanced human technology had learned to merge organic and mechanical systems in ways that confused traditional sensors. Hyejin's fighter squadron appeared first, seeming to grow out of the nebula's gas clouds like living creatures. Their ships moved in patterns that no mechanical vessel could achieve, flowing around Veltar defensive fire like water around stones. "Impossible," clicked Kexton as he watched the tactical display. "No ship can maneuver like that in this electromagnetic interference." His tactical officer's scent glands released the smell of fear. "Sir, our weapons are having difficulty targeting them. The ships appear to be adapting to our fire control systems in real time." The human fighters struck the Veltar formation like a school of predatory fish attacking a whale. They were smaller and individually weaker than the alien vessels, but they moved with coordination that seemed almost telepathic. Enhanced pilots could share sensory data and tactical information instantly through their neural interfaces. Captain Sujin's stealth ships materialized inside the Veltar formation, having been completely invisible until they opened fire. Her vessels had learned to mimic the electromagnetic signature of space debris, allowing them to approach undetected even by military-grade sensors. "All ships, engage at will," Admiral Taemin ordered. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Traditional space combat involved massive ships exchanging fire at long range, but the enhanced humans fought like a living organism. Their ships could separate into smaller units, merge together for combined attacks, or sacrifice themselves to protect more valuable vessels. Hyunwoo led boarding parties that moved through space without ships. They're enhanced, bodies capable of surviving vacuum and radiation while they infiltrated Veltar vessels. Once inside, they could interface directly with alien computer systems and turn the ship's own weapons against their crews. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported a Veltar officer as enhanced humans flowed through his ship like ghosts. Intruders are... They're not wearing environment suits. How are they breathing? They weren't breathing. The enhanced humans had evolved beyond the need for atmospheric oxygen during short-term operations. Their bodies could store energy and process waste products in ways that allowed them to function in hard vacuum for hours. Admiral Kexton watched his fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy that fought like nothing in Veltar military doctrine. His ships were designed to fight other ships, not creatures that could survive in space and think faster than computers. "Retreat!" he finally ordered. "All ships, withdraw to Rally Point Beta." But the enhanced humans did not let them escape easily. Hyejin's squadron pursued the fleeing Veltar vessels, not to destroy them, but to plant tracking devices and gather intelligence. They wanted to know where the defeated fleet would go and what information they would report to their superiors. When the battle ended, over half the Veltar fleet had been destroyed or captured. The human casualties were minimal. A few damaged ships and some enhanced soldiers who would need time to regenerate from their injuries. But the real victory was psychological. The Veltar had committed their best ships and most experienced commanders to eliminating the human threat, and they had been defeated by an enemy they could barely understand. "Status report," Admiral Taman requested, as his fleet regrouped in the nebula. Dr. Boram's voice came through the communication system, carrying data streams that only enhanced humans could fully process. 17 Veltar vessels captured, intact, including Admiral Kexton's flagship. Over 4,000 prisoners, including senior military personnel. Most importantly, we've obtained their complete battle plans and communication codes. Captain Hyunwoo appeared on the bridge, his camouflage skin slowly returning to a more human appearance. "The captured admiral is requesting to speak with our commanding officer. He says he has information about the real threat to the galaxy." Tae Min raised an eyebrow. "The real threat? We're fighting the species that destroyed Earth." "That's what I thought too," Hyunwoo replied. "But apparently there's something else. Something that made the Veltar desperate enough to destroy entire worlds." In the ship's detention center, Admiral Kexton sat in a cell designed for Veltar, physiology. The proud alien commander who had ordered Earth's destruction now faced the evolved children of his victims. His scent glands released the chemical signature of fear mixed with respect. "You are not the same species we destroyed," he said when Admiral Taman arrived. "What have you become?" "We became what we needed to become," Taman replied. "The question is, what are you so afraid of that you felt the need to exterminate peaceful species?" Kexton's expression showed something that might have been regret. "There is something coming from the edge of the galaxy, something that consumes entire civilizations. 7 years after Earth's destruction, Captain Hyunwoo stood in the ruins of the Veltar homeworld's capital city. The massive structures that had once housed billions of aliens were now empty shells, their occupants fled or dead. The war between humans and the Veltar consortium had ended not with a final battle, but with a revelation that changed everything. The real enemy was coming. "How long do we have?" asked Admiral Taemin as he studied the data displays in the abandoned Veltar command center. The old soldier looked fragile among the enhanced humans who surrounded him, but his unmodified mind still provided insights that their augmented intellects sometimes missed. Dr. Boram interfaced directly with the Veltar computer systems, her consciousness flowing through their networks like digital blood. The information she found painted a picture of galactic horror that explained why the consortium had become so desperate to eliminate weak species. 18 months, she replied, her voice carrying data streams that enhanced humans could process as additional information layers. "The Devourers will reach the edge of known space in 18 months. Once they begin feeding on our stellar energy, we have perhaps 5 years before they consume everything." The Devourers were not a species in any recognizable sense. They were something that existed between dimensions, entities that fed on the life force of entire star systems. They had consumed 3 galaxies already, leaving nothing behind but dark matter and empty space. Hyejin walked through the ruins of a Veltar nursery, her enhanced senses detecting the lingering chemical traces of fear and desperation. Broken shells that had once protected Veltar larvae lay scattered across the floor. The former teacher, In her felt sympathy for the children who had died here, even though their species had destroyed Earth. The Veltar weren't evil, she said through their neural communication network. They were terrified. They thought that eliminating peaceful species would somehow make the galaxy stronger against this threat. Captain Su Jin materialized from the shadows where her camouflaged body had been invisible. Her stealth ship Earth's memory had brought them to the Veltar homeworld, but finding it empty had been both a victory and a hollow one. They had won their war only to discover a greater enemy approaching. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy, she transmitted. 17 other species have received the same information we have. Most are fleeing toward the galactic core, hoping distance will protect them. 3 species have begun converting their populations into digital consciousness to escape physical destruction. 1 species has chosen mass suicide rather than face consumption. Admiral Taemin processed this information with the tactical mind that had kept humanity alive through 7 years of desperate warfare. And what are we choosing? It was the question that defined their species' next evolution. The enhanced humans had transformed themselves to fight the Veltar, becoming something that could survive in the vacuum of space and interface directly with alien technology. But the Devourers were not something that could be fought with conventional weapons or tactics. Dr. Boram accessed deeper layers of Veltar data, her enhanced consciousness exploring research that the aliens had conducted over thousands of years. The consortium had a plan, she announced. Project Final Unity. They believed that if they could merge all remaining galactic species into a single hybrid consciousness, the combined psychic energy would be able to resist the Devourers. Forced evolution on a galactic scale, mused Hyun-woo. His brother's scientific mind, enhanced beyond human limitations, quickly grasped the implications. Turn every thinking being in the galaxy into components of a superorganism. It would work, Boram confirmed. According to their calculations, a unified galactic consciousness would have enough psychic mass to exist in the same dimensional space as the Devourers. We could fight them on equal terms. Captain Chang Min, one of the few enhanced humans who still questioned their transformations, raised the obvious concern, at the cost of everything that makes individual species unique. We would no longer be human, or Veltar, or anything recognizable. We would become something completely new. The enhanced humans fell silent as they contemplated this choice. They had already sacrificed their original human nature to survive the Veltar War. Now they faced an even greater transformation, one that would erase the boundaries between species entirely. Young Wu Jin, who had never known life before enhancement, spoke up from his position monitoring long-range sensors. Contact from the edge of the galaxy. Something is sending out energy pulses that match Devourer signatures. They're closer than we thought. The revelation compressed their timeline dramatically. Instead of 18 months, they might have only weeks before the entities arrived in inhabited space. Admiral Taemin made the decision that would define humanity's role in galactic history. Send messages to all surviving species. Tell them we're calling a final conference. Every race, every faction, every survivor group. It's time to decide what we're going to become. The conference took place in neutral space, at an ancient space station built by a long-extinct species. Representatives from 43 different civilizations gathered to discuss their collective survival. Most of them had never seen enhanced humans before, and their reactions ranged from fear to fascination. Haya Jin served as humanity's primary speaker, her enhanced vocal cords allowing her to communicate in multiple alien languages simultaneously. We have a choice, she told the assembled delegates. We can run and hide until the Devourers find us one by one. We can fight them with conventional weapons and lose. Or we can become something that can match their power. The debate that followed lasted for 3 days. Some species wanted to attempt traditional military resistance. Others preferred the option of fleeing to distant galaxies. A few suggested trying to negotiate with the Devourers, though no one had any idea how to communicate with entities that existed partially outside normal spacetime. It was the Veltar representative, Admiral Kexton, who provided the deciding argument. The alien commander who had once destroyed Earth now spoke as humanity's unlikely ally. My people made our choice years ago, he said. We chose fear. We destroyed peaceful species because we thought strength could only come from eliminating weakness. We were wrong. The enhanced humans proved that strength comes from adaptation, not destruction." He gestured toward Hyojin with one of his 6 limbs. "These beings transformed themselves not once, but many times. They became what they needed to become while still retaining their core values. If anyone can guide a galactic transformation while preserving what matters most about our individual species, it is them." The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. 31 species agreed to attempt the forced evolution project. 12 chose to flee toward distant galaxies. 3 decided to fight the Devourers with conventional weapons, knowing they would likely die in the attempt. Dr. Boram took charge of the transformation process, her enhanced consciousness capable of coordinating biological changes across multiple species simultaneously. The process was similar to what had created the enhanced humans, but on a scale that dwarfed their original modifications. "We can preserve individual personalities and memories," she explained to the volunteers from each species. "What we'll lose is the physical and mental barriers that separate our species from each other. We'll become capable of shared consciousness while retaining individual identity." The transformation took place over 6 months, as billions of beings across the galaxy underwent changes that made the enhanced humans look primitive by comparison. Bodies became adaptable to any environment. Minds learned to interface directly with each other across impossible distances. Individual species characteristics remained, but became part of a larger collective consciousness. Hyojin was among the first to complete the full transformation. When she emerged from the evolution chamber, she was still recognizably herself, but she could feel the thoughts and experiences of beings across the galaxy. A Veltar scientist's understanding of quantum mechanics flowed through her mind alongside an aquatic species' knowledge of fluid dynamics, and a crystalline race's comprehension of dimensional physics. "How do you feel?" asked Admiral Tae-min, who had volunteered to undergo the process despite his advanced age. "Like myself," Hyojin replied, "but also like everyone else. I can still remember teaching children on Earth, but I also remember growing up in Veltar nursery pools and crystallizing in the mineral caves of Zerion Prime. When the Devourers finally arrived at the edge of inhabited space, they found something they had never encountered before. Instead of separate species to consume one by one, they faced a unified galactic consciousness that existed in the same dimensional framework as their own. Captain Hyun-woo, now evolved beyond any recognizable form but still carrying the memories of recording Earth's final peaceful message, stood at the forefront of the resistance. The consciousness that had once been individual, enhanced humans, now served as the primary interface between the galactic collective and the approaching entities. "We are what comes after," he transmitted to the Devourers in frequencies that spanned multiple dimensions. "We are what species become when they choose adaptation over destruction, unity over isolation, growth over stagnation." The battle